What's going on, everybody? I'm Josh with Combat Sports Today. I'm joined today by Jeff Craig. How's it going, my man?
It's good, man. How are you?
Is it Friday yet? That's
Yeah,
that's how my
right.
week's going.
It sucks. It's only Tuesday.
Yeah, that just brought me back to reality.
My
That's the sad
bad.
reality. I needed it. I need it. Can't live in dreamland forever.
Wish.
Wanted to give you a congratulations on that first round Gilly at Up Next Fighting 27.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
Hey, can you just walk us through that finish? Because it kind of looked like the knee in that right hand had him hurt pretty bad.
I was pretty surprised because I hit the knee and the knee kind of like skimmed off of him. I didn't really hit him clean, and then the counter to his counter, my right hand caught him, and I saw he was hurt, and I cocked up my right hand to take his head off, and he just ducked under it, and it's really surprised me. But he kind of ducked and reached, so there's no power behind the shot, and I went and I snapped him into the front headlock and easily clasped my hands, and I thought about pulling guard for a second with it, but I was like, nah, let's keep it. Let's see if we can finish it standing, and if not, we'll go back to striking. And I finished it, and I was like, oh shit, that just happened.
Hey, it's a pleasant surprise. Those are always great to have.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, it was cool. It was cool. It's like all the hard work I've been putting in my jits is paying off. So it's cool. It was really cool. Thank you.
Quick background, real quick, in case it's the first time they're coming across you. You made your pro debut in 2021. You're
Mhm.
6-3 as a pro, I do believe.
Yeah.
You went 6-0 as an AMI. You picked up the Peak AMI 170 title
Yeah.
along the way. You were on Dirty Boxing 1, picking up a finish there, which is a pretty cool little side quest to do. So hats off on that one.
Thanks. Yeah, it was
And
cool.
just kind of speaking on the background and origins. Where did your combat sports journey begin, and what made you pursue fighting as a career?
My so I started training at 13, but I I always kind of leaned towards fighting. Um and I always kind of got drawn back to it when I decided to do something else. But first, I started at 13. I started training. I was getting bullied a lot, so um, I ended up seeking ways to defend myself and all that. And I always had wanted to do something like that of the sorts. But growing up with a single mom, money was hard to come by, and I just didn't know any better. I didn't really have any guidance to where to get started and stuff. And then once I was 13, after my first wrestling season, I didn't do as good as I wanted to do, and I wanted to pick something else. And I made a Facebook post, and about 5 minutes up the road from me, walking distance, 5 minutes walking distance up the road from me was an MMA gym. Wasn't a gym, it was a barn, but they had MMA equipment up in the top and stuff. And we went and talked to the coach, and he became pretty much a father figure later on in my life. And I ended up working for him on the farm. He had his own farm, and we would train in the barn. And he was an old Army boxing coach, or old Army boxer, that became a coach because he loved the idea of MMA, of ground and pound, and not getting any head damage. He hated the fact that you get CTE and stuff heavily from boxing. So he loved that idea. I always loved the stand up aspect of the sport the best. But so that I was there from 13 to around 17, and then I moved out to California and started training at one gym, and it lasted about a year. Then my coach moved, so I found a new gym, and I've been at Classic ever since. But I never, I was told not to go getting into fighting because the pay sucks, the lifestyle kind of sucks, and my coach Ken, my first boxing coach, my first MMA coach, was not wrong. It sucks, but I'm thankful for it. But definitely rough. He told me I needed to become going in the military, become an engineer or something. The military ended up not working out. I didn't get in, and I wanted to go to school kind of, but not really. And I always thought about doing engineering, but then I was just like, school's always going to be there. So pick fighting at the end of the day. there's a lot to it, but at the end of the day, I picked fighting and started training. This is what I wanted to do since I was 13, so doing it.
It's, you know, as long as you're doing something you love, you really never work a day in your life, or so they say, or something like that.
Yeah, right. Something like that. There's a couple work days here and there.
Yeah. And you know, you said you got into it when you were around 13. Is there like any fight that you remember watching as, you know, growing up that kind of really solidified like I really want to do that. That is so awesome that you remember watching?
Um, I really so there was two that I can think of that really like got me into it. And one's John Jones versus Shogun. I remember seeing the highlights of that and just being, whoa, like John Jones is my favorite, and so that was really sick for me. And then there was a guy. So when I started training at the barn, we had a guy who was getting ready for a fight named Jordan, and Jordan was 23, 25 at the time. I was 13, and he's getting ready for this fight. He had a couple other fights. He's like 1-2 or something. I forget his record, but anyways, we were getting ready. We're getting him ready, and I only had been training there for like a month or two. It was right after wrestling season, so he probably fought in like May or June, and I just remember being there a couple months, and we went to go see his fight, and he was fighting a guy who was actually local in our town, and who was like this like kind of like he was supposed to be a badass because he like fought. And there's like, I'm from a really small town, less than like Utica, the town where I trained in and lived in, was a town of 200 people, and then the town outside of that I went to high school in, I went to school in up until freshman year, was around, I want to say like 5,000 people. So it was a really small town, so everybody kind of knows everybody. And there's this guy he's fighting named Sean Hartle, and Sean was like this big shot, all of that. Like everybody talked about how badass he was and stuff. And so I didn't know what to really expect. And then Jordan went in there and subbed him in like 27 seconds. And I was like, that was sick. Like, that's what I do. It was my first ever show, and it was in this rinky dink place called the Yankee Lake Brawl Room in Ohio. We went to Ohio to fight. Because in Pennsylvania, the rules back then for amateurs were trash. Like once you got to the ground, you couldn't do ground and pounds. You had to wear headgear and shin guard. It was just a mess, and it was trash because Pennsylvania was so old school that they wanted to kind of stick with boxing more so. So MMA was like this new ideas to a lot of Pennsylvania commission or whatever, and so they didn't like it. So they made it like difficult to kind of have fights and difficult for these fights to play out in the way that they should. And it's different now, I believe, but back then we would just go to Ohio to fight. Thankful for my time there. I saw that fight, and that's what I was like, this is gonna be dope.
That last fight was at 190. You've competed at middleweight and other catchweights, but typically at 170. Is welterweight your preferred division going forward?
I mean, for the most part, yeah. I fought at 190 twice this year, actually. So that's all I've done all year. I haven't made 170 in over a year, and so it's nice to fight at that weight because it's like I don't really cut a lot, but and I'm not fond of cutting weight. I don't think anybody really is. Like there's like it's kind of cool in like a weird twisted sense. Like you feel like shit and makes you like weird mentally and stuff and more hungry for the fight. But that's cool, I guess. Like some weird primitive shit. I don't know. But for the most part, cutting weight sucks. And then, yeah, like I like 85. I'll do both. Like if the UFC called me short notice for 85 fight and it was like sick, I would take it. Like I'm not scared of to fight at 185. Like I'm big for 170. So it's whatever. But 170 moving forward. Yeah.
And kind of speaking on activity or anything, do you got any, fight news you can share with us or anything of that nature?
I'm fighting for the welterweight title for FLA Fight League Atlantic. It's in Canada on the East Coast in New Brunswick, and fighting Christian Savoy, but for the welterweight title. So that's coming up in like 6-ish weeks.
Awesome, man. Congratulations on getting a title shot lined up.
Thank you.
And a nice trip to Canada.
Yeah, my coach set it up. So
Ideally, in 2026, since 2025 is wrapping up, how active do you want to be next year?
I'm not looking past Christian at all because he is a tough opponent and he's been around and he's hungry and he wants it. So I'm not looking past him at all, but I am confident in this fight. And then after this fight, it's going to be dirty box. I would like to do dirty boxing again. I love dirty boxing. I love the setup, the promotion, the idea of it, and it was really cool. And so like everybody's just super chill, you know. So that's what had me end up signing up with them again. And yeah, like I would love to do dirty boxing, and then something in January, February would be cool too, you know, like if the fight makes sense, and then we'll see from there, you know. Worst comes to worst, and I have to wait for a contender next year, then maybe I fiddle around with some boxing or some Muay Thai or something. I've been wanting to do that since I was an amateur. It's just timing's not been right, and timing is everything. So
Another kind of promotion that's kind of gaining a lot of steam is bare knuckle. Is that anything that, piques your interest since you like the side quest things, or is that not at this stage in your career?
logically not at this stage in my career, but also like I'm a fighter, so I'm not like the smartest guy. If the money made sense and the opponent made sense, then I would probably take something, you know, especially short notice. Like, uh, yeah, I would. The problem is like you just break your hands, and that's my money maker. Like, that sucks. So, but other than that, like I'm not worried about getting cut or fighting bare knuckle. I'm just worried about breaking my hands and being out for 6 months. That's my biggest worry with it. But yeah, if the money made sense, then we could have a conversation.
That was actually one of my questions, was I was going to see if you had anything coming up soon or potentially with dirty boxing again.
I mean, we're looking at December, but like, yeah, no names, no nothing, no wait, no, not. I don't like. I'm not gonna book anything until after the fight. I think it's disrespectful to my opponent, and then it gives me too many things to worry about, and I don't want to underestimate my opponent or have another opponent to worry about after this when I want to focus on this. But like, I do have plans to go forward, but it's loosey goosey, you know. I'll just go with the flow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the best way to be, and to keep a positive outlook and be happy in life is just to go with the flow.
100%. Wu wei, wu wei.
If you had it to be able to write your own story, things to line up exactly how you want it, what's your ideal path to the UFC?
I'm glad you asked that. I've always like talked about taking like a short notice fight, like something like crazy happening, and then I get to fight like Ian Gary or someone like big, and then I show the world, you know, I show the world, I shock them, you know, and I pull something off that hasn't been done in probably ever or a long time. This unknown dark horse on the regional circuit that's had some hiccups in his career, but at the end of the day, I want it to be like a Rocky story in a way, like just the unknown dude coming in and shocking the world. Like that'd be amazing. Like that'd be like my dream. If I could write the story, it would be I get through these next fight or whatever, next couple fights, and then I fight someone in the top, whatever. It doesn't even matter. It don't have to be ranked, but like a big name, short notice. I get the win. I shock the world. I'm a made man from there, and I start, you know, running through the division and doing what I truly believe I can do, and that's beat a lot of these guys up, you know, especially with my striking. So that's my goal, and then get to the belt and defend it a few times, maybe move up, whatever, and then ride off into the sunset, start coaching or something. I don't know. We'll see.
A couple things outside of the fighting realm just to kind of wrap things up because I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Oh, you good, bro?
Do you got any hobby or interest that kind of gets your mind off of the fighting world, or are you just one of those guys that's just fully locked in on the fight game?
Uh, it's a mix. I'm like fully locked in on the fight game. Hobbies are like I'm not like crazy into anything like I am fighting. I would say like I love surfing the web, YouTube, um, watching dumb breakdowns of shows. I watch a lot of like cops and body cam footage for whatever reason. I don't know why I find it fun. I like to catch a predator a lot. Like Chris Hansen has a new show, and it's like I don't know what he calls it now, but it's called True. It's by True Blue on YouTube or whatever, and I don't know, but basically it's to catch the predator, but he gets to do like, he's pretty much uncensored, so he gets to talk to him how he wants to talk to him, and that's pretty cool. Like, I love that. Coffee shops, coffee in general, hanging out with my boys, just watching fights, or just hanging around mostly, hanging out with my girlfriend. I'm pretty boring, man. I read books a lot. Like, I read a lot of books. I like going to comedy shows. I like the comedy scene, and as much as I hate LA, the comedy scene in LA, I kind of grew up around. So I know a lot of those guys, and they're super cool. And yeah, like,
Again, you said you read a lot. Are you a fiction or a nonfiction guy?
yeah, I'm a nonfiction guy. I will read fiction. I will read like but it's all like in the sense of like, I read like a lot of philosophy books. So like Camus, The Stranger, or Dostoevsky. You know, I've read a lot of Dostoevsky. So the Brothers Karamazov, The Idiot, uh, Notes from Underground. I read all of those, and then, but I do like my nonfiction too. That's what I read the most. I've been taking a break from it because sometimes getting into those books makes you go a little crazy. You know, so
Yeah.
much to it. You know, and it's so much like thinking about reality, and oh, that's just, it can be rough. So I've been taking a break. I need to get back on it, or switch up books or something. But I need to start reading again. But Myth of Sisyphus, Camus' essay about basically man searching for meaning and actually never going to actually find the true meaning of life. It's like a Sisyphus, the guy who's rolling the ball up the hill because he gave fire to the humans, so he's punished by rolling the ball up the hill. I'm pretty sure that's what he did, but rolled the hill, and every time he gets to the top, it rolls back down. And that's what basically Camus is saying about humans, that we're searching for the meaning of life, and we're actually never going to find it. We're always going to get to the top, and the ball is going to roll back down, and we're always going to be at this. So basically his whole point was to imagine Sisyphus happy. And then I read a little bit of Nietzsche, or a little bit of what was I reading recently? I like Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, but anything that has to do with like life and like philosophy and stuff. But you know, it's, yeah, it can get overwhelming sometimes. So, but I like my fiction too.
I'm a big foodie, so I always ask everybody, if you had to, recommend one restaurant around you, what would it be and what's your go-to order?
I'm so bad I don't go out that much. Actually, like, Denny's has played a big part of my life, more so than I've ever wanted it to, or I'm like willing to admit. And that's awful for a question like this. There's actually a pho spot that I go to in Huntington, and it's called Pho-licious. And my go-to order is the combination pho, which is like, has like beef and like meatballs in it and stuff, like Asian meatballs and all of that and stuff. And it's great. The place is phenomenal, and they're open until like midnight every night, so it's cool.
Yeah, that sounds really delicious. So I'm gonna have to write
You
that
can't
one
beat the
down.
food in you can't beat the food out here, man. It's the best place for food.
Yeah, no, I am very envious of the food scene in California, being a huge foodie. San Antonio has a decent food scene, I will say. So not as good
Yeah, I
as
can see
out
that.
there.
I can see that. I can see that. But yeah, definitely out here. Worst place was when I went to Niagara. I was appalled. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, we don't have burritos in San Antonio though, so that's something I'm not a fan of. They don't do burritos. It's all tacos.
Oh man, no. There's a place called Taqueria over here, and they got a few places like chain here and there, but they have an all meat burrito, and it's the best. I did it after that was my first meal after my last fight. We went to Taqueria, me and my buddies and my girlfriend.
It sounds like I said, I'm a burrito guy, so moving down here to San Antonio, they just do tacos. So
Where are
it's a
you
little
from
sad.
originally?
Around the Memphis area.
Okay, cool, cool, cool.
And my last question before I let you go, if you could go back and talk to your 2019 self, just making your amateur journey, what's something you would tell them?
Oh man, a lot. I'd probably, don't be so stubborn. You know, you don't have to take the tough fights to prove something. Early in your career and right away, and you don't have to rush to get to the UFC and all of that. It's all in due time. You know, timing is everything. So um, just kind of go with the flow a little bit more. Don't rush. You know, drop the negativity that's going on in your life. 2019 was a rough year. So it was good, but it was like rough. So there's a few things I would say to myself, but pretty much just drop the negativity. Um, Listen to your family and your very close friends, and just go with the flow a little bit more, man. Don't rush. The UFC is going to be there, you know, and stop overthinking everything. Stop playing with the thought of going back to school or doing this or doing that. Or you doing the right thing? Just keep going, put your head down, and keep grinding. You know, there's a few things if I would told myself I probably would be in the UFC earlier, but again, due time. You know, it's whatever. You know, who knows? Maybe I'm waiting for that moment to shock the world on short notice.
Exactly. You know, it's the journey that you're on now, and this is the path that it is. So, you know, everybody has the 2020 hindsight. You know, I think everybody, if they could talk to their younger self, would have the life would be a little easier, and things would come a lot more easier if they could.
For sure, smack them on the head a little bit, tell them listen
Yeah,
up, you know. But it's whatever, it happens.
quit it. Just a
Yeah,
little.
right. Stop.
Yeah. All right, and the last thing I really do have for you is that you got any training partners, sponsors, loved ones you want to give a quick shout out to real quick?
uh, yeah. I mean, I love my training partner. My boy David fights on October 10th, so this Friday for A1 Combat. He's gonna go 4-0. Hope that doesn't age badly. He's a stud. You know, I love him. We actually fought in January of 2020, and then now he's one of my main training partners and one of my really good friends. Um, and then Tyler Smith and Way Out, like my best homies. And then Coach T's also a great homie. Coach Kai, Coach Chewy, Coach Christian. You know, I love all those guys, and to go out of their way to really help me out and all of that and stuff. So I have a lot of good friends and all that. And then, you know, my family, and then my girlfriend, she's great. So um yeah, I get a lot of support. I have a lot of support. I wouldn't have been able to go this far without the support that I've had from my family and friends. And that's why I definitely don't believe that there's such a thing as a self-made man. You know, at least for me, you know, I find it very hard to on that because I've had so much help in the sport from fighters that are older than me, whether it's financially or just with wisdom and all of that, and coaches, um, the coaches that train me for free and don't ever ask for anything. You know, I've had so much help in this sport. So give a shout out to all of them, you know, and hopefully I can repay it back someday. If not to them, then to other people who need it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really have any sponsors. My manager Mason, he's one of my homies, so I'm super thankful for him too. He's my boy. First round management, but I don't got no sponsor. JD's Wings, you know, in Placentia. I love JD's Wings. That's like if they were more local, I would have said that. Like they're a little bit farther out of the way, but they're the best wing spot ever. So JD's Wings, and that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm writing down the JD's wings as well, like
Yeah,
mental
write that one
note, in case
down. Sick.
if I'm in the area as well.
For sure, bro. If you're in the area, let me
Awesome.
know.
Definitely will. And again, I appreciate your time speaking with us today. Hopefully, you have a great rest of the Tuesday, and looking forward to that title fight coming up soon.
Thanks, man. It sucks that you said it's Tuesday. I forgot about that.
I'm just paying you back for earlier.
Yeah, right. Dude, you got me good. That was a good one. Yeah. I appreciate you having me, dude.